Stevens' attempt is up, and it is good. 14 seconds left.
Welcome back to the Iowa Fan Perspective from the Play the Fight Song podcast. Again, my name is JP, and I will be here recapping Iowa Northwestern from this past Saturday and then previewing games going forward. Let's keep this one pretty short and sweet. I don't think, honestly, just looking back at the game, rewatching it, re-going through some things from different angles, and basically just sitting down to really dig deep into all this. I feel like all my takeaways are going to be very similar to everything we've talked about already to this point, and I'm sure that you've talked about with your buddies or other people at the water cooler or just even online on the message boards. It's all going to be the same stuff. I think at this point, it's just beating a dead horse in that situation. But on the good news, we're doing this after Iowa wins a football game rather than losing a football game, this time in Wrigley rather than just in Evanston. Iowa 10, Northwestern 7, as the Hawks now move to 7-2, as well as 4-2 in Big Ten play. Northwestern, again, not the greatest football team on earth. They'll move to 4-5 and 2-4. And man, did this game just stink out loud. I tell you what. Let's quick recap some stats. Deacon Hill and the offense were rough, to say the least. Deacon, 10 of 15 for 65 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. I think 10 of 15 is what you're looking for out of an Iowa quarterback. I don't think 65 yards is that. I think that's just a lot of checkdowns, short rollouts thrown into the flat. That's quick balls in and out of his hand. Now, 20 some of that came. So he probably had 40 yards going into that final drive before that throw to Caleb Brown to really set up the field goal, which we'll get into later. Interception was bad. We can't throw jump balls into the corner of the end zone to Nico Ragaini. Great receiver in the slot, stuff over the middle. We're not throwing jump balls to the kid. That's got to be understood. And even if he was good enough to go get a jump ball, that ball was terribly positioned. It looked like he was throwing to the Northwestern defensive back in that situation. Not great. The touchdown pass to Estringa. Again, roll out, get it to him quick, let him do his thing. That was well-timed play call and executed very well. LaShawn Williams, 24 carries for 79 yards. That's a 3.3 yard average per carry. Jazzy and Patterson, 8 carries for 21, 2.6 on the average. And team overall, 35 carries for 111 yards after taking out the sacks, 3.1 average. I mean, again, talking about the same thing, playing the same record, you got to be better than that. And they weren't even stacking the box as bad as I thought Minnesota was the week before. Maybe that's why you got over 100 in this situation, but we got to be better. Offensive line's got to be better. We've got to be able to run the football on a bad Northwestern team. So that one stunk. I wasn't a big fan of the offense in this situation. I don't think Deacon was great. I don't think the running backs had a lot of space when they did. It didn't feel like they made a lot of moves. Now, is the turf probably a little to blame for that? Yeah, maybe it's tough to find footing. We saw that turf got beat up in certain situations. One time, Deacon's knee ran through the ground and caused like a meteor divot in the ground. Other times, just cuts. Like your foot's not going to stick as well with grass that's put over dirt on an infield of a football field. It's never really worked. I think Kirk's right by saying it. Baseball fields are for baseball, football fields are for football in that sense that it just never it's cool for the fans and stuff, but it really is more detrimental to the players in the game overall than it is an awesome experience for them. And you knew that the rest of the year, and I said it, we're just going to go into things and we'll take wins where we get them. We're going to roll through everything and we're going to take wins at this point, like as ugly as they are. And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm not overjoyed. It feels almost more happy that we didn't lose than happy that we won, because it was worrisome. It got worrisome there. I could not believe Northwestern let us come down the field after giving up that touchdown. I wish Kirk would have tried to get closer rather than just mailing it in after getting inside the 40 and just run up the middle. I mean, saw it coming from a mile away. I wish we would have tried to get a little bit closer. I'm not saying throw the football, but let's do a little more than your simple A-B gap, handoff straight dives. I'm not going to say, I should say I should not be sitting here talking play calling and all that stuff, because I'm not the X and O's guy. Obviously, these coaches know a lot more than I do. I just wish we wouldn't have mailed it in that situation. And as good as Drew Stevens is as a kicker, he'd missed one that day going that same direction from that same distance. It just felt overly conservative. And you gave him the ball back immediately, right? Like they got the ball back with a chance to go down and get the field goal themselves. Like they had one quick play that got him yards and then two that failed. But why give him the ball back? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's work to extend that drive, get a little closer, and kill the clock more. On the right side here, the defense is nasty again. How about Jay Higgins here for 12 total tackles, a sack, 2 tackle for loss, 5 sacks as a team, 8 tackles for loss. And they held Northwestern to 81 or 89 yards rushing. That's a 2.2 average off 41 carries and 81 yards passing. The defense is good. We knew that. We know that Jackson and Higgins in the middle are really good. We know Castro, Wampa, DeJean on the back end are really good. Jamari Harris had the touchdown caught on him. He was good throughout the day. He's getting better more and more weeks he gets to play this year. It seems fun to watch on that side of the ball. The special teams was good again, other than the miss by Drew Stevens that went off an upright. Like, it's going to happen. Like, you can't blame the kid. He was from 52. He hit a 53 to win it, so he did everything he could. So there's no knock on Drew Stevens here. Iowa special teams blocked a punt that set up the touchdown drive. Hats off to that. Anytime the Iowa special teams make plays, it's exciting, and I think we all realize that. Torrey Taylor had a rough punt that got returned that set up Northwestern's touchdown drive. I believe that was the touchdown drive that they set up. That or was the goal line stand. But either way, that was the rough part, the low part for the special teams in this situation and in this game. And it wasn't pretty. Like, again, I'm talking like it was probably a game nobody wanted to watch. I don't blame you. It was on Peacock. There wasn't a lot of – I was inside a bar listening to stuff. There wasn't even a lot of cheering or excitement going on until we scored late in that third quarter. It just kind of got to a point where you know what to expect, but that doesn't make it fun, right? It doesn't make it enjoyable to kind of deal with and stuff. But again, a win. You're doing your job. You want to win the West? Perfect. Check that off. You beat Northwestern. Time to gear up for this week, though, because Rutgers is good. They gave Ohio State all they could handle. They have a very good defense, a very solid front that really stifled an Ohio State team who run at the football outside of Travion's couple big plays. I mean, it's buckle up time. I'll be in Kinnick this weekend. It's going to be a really close one. It's going to be a grind out. I think Iowa's like a 2-point favorite, over under at 29.5. I expect nothing less. If Iowa struggled this much against Northwestern, it's going to be really tough to move the football against this Rutgers team. And it sounds odd that I'm saying Rutgers is solid with a good defense, but they are. And if you haven't watched them at all, I encourage you to go watch them playing Michigan State or Ohio State or just some of these other schools. They are solid on defense. Like, it's a fact. The front four are solid. The offense on their end is not great. They really struggle to move the football consistently. And that, again, plays in Iowa's hands, making me think, here we go, without getting too far to the preview, Kirkton's play into the same hand that he did this week and the week before. So, at the end of the day, it's a one football game. We didn't lose this one in ugly fashion like we had a couple weeks before with Minnesota, but we'll take the win. 7-2, 4-2 in the conference. You win out, you win the West. I think that's all we can ask for. Illinois beat Minnesota, which really helps the Hawks out. Now, if the Hawks drop one along this way, you're going to need a little more help in Minnesota to drop another one, as Minnesota does have the tiebreaker on the Hawks. But the West is winnable, and we're right there. So I think that's what we need to focus on. Just, hey, game by game, right? I think I was just upset that how bad Northwestern is as a football team that we couldn't take advantage of that still. I think that's it was concern for me because I really thought this would be a good weekend for us to go. And really set ourselves up with some confidence going into Rutgers, and it feels like we've kind of gone the backwards way. Now, Kirk was happy that the guys really grinded it out. It was gritty. A lot of love for complimentary football, he said. I don't see complimentary football when you can't move the football or play any offense at all. I know what he's trying to say. Due to the block punt or the good defensive stop, block punt, touchdown. That's probably what he's referring to. Well, what I'm referring to is just a complete game of football where we feel like we actually have a fighting chance of getting past the 50-yard line. Should be a grinder again. So I didn't want to dive super deep into this one because what am I going to say that's not the same stuff we've heard over and over again on every platform that we listen to. So I really appreciate you guys jumping in. Come back for that Rutgers preview. I know a lot of people haven't seen a lot of Rutgers football this week or this year, or even this past week, you're going to want to learn a lot more about this team, as it's going to be a real meat grinder in Kinnick on Saturday. So be sure to tune into that. When that gets released, I'll share it on socials. The Play the Fight Song podcast, I'll have previews out Thursday for the rest of the games around the country. Tune in, man. It's going to be a great week. Hawks still can win the West. That's all that matters, right? We want to win the West more than anything. It's more embarrassing to lose the West than it is to lose by 30 in the Big Ten title game to Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State, right? That's where my head's at. I think you're at the same spot. Let's go win a West for the last time, and then we'll worry about next year when it gets here, right? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Go Hawks.